Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Hello Girl DIY. Today I'm going to be doing 2 Boho Rainbow DIYs using Dollar Tree products. So for the first DIY, I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree Rainbow Wreath form. And when I saw this in the store, I was really excited because I knew we could do a ton of different cool things with it. So I'm going to go ahead and take that wreath form, and this is the yarn I'm going to be wrapping it with. But before I can do that, I'm actually going to go ahead and take it outside and give the front a couple of coats of gold metallic spray paint, just because in case any shows through or at the ends to make it look prettier. Next up, it's time to go ahead and start wrapping my wreath form. So to start out, I'm going to be using this ivory yarn. I believe it's like a wool blend, and I also think it's from Michaels. I'm not sure about that. And then I'm using some of this Dollar Tree yarn. This is their Premier Just Yarn worsted. You could do all Dollar Tree yarn. You could also do whatever yarn you like or you have on hand. And I'm actually wrapping my yarn in sections about 2.5 to 3 inches long. You could make these sections as long or as big or as small as you like. You could also wrap the entire wreath form in one color, and you could also wrap each segment in different color or even do like the colors of the rainbow. But I'm starting out with this ivory yarn, and to attach it in the beginning, I just tied a knot on one of the, I guess you call the arches of the individual arch of my wreath form. And then I'm going to wrap it until I'm happy with how big it is or how long it is. Then I'm going to tie a knot again, and then take that little tail that's left at my knot, and I'm going to take it to the back and hot glue it to the back of my yarn with a little bit of hot glue. And then this is how my wreath form looks when it is all wrapped. I'm super happy I spray painted it gold just because if there is any little bit showing, as you can see there is some at the very end. Since I couldn't wrap that with yarn, it looks really pretty. So now I'm going to be adding a little bit of detail or an extra something to dress this up. You could leave it as is if you liked it. And so to start out, I picked a color. You could do a different color, or you could use the same color. I'm using this darker russet color, or burgundy orangish color. And I just cut a bunch of strips, probably about 6 inches long or so. And I'm going to take them, and I folded it in half so that you have kind of like an arch at the top. Then you're going to thread that loop through underneath that little wire at the end of it and pull it through. So you've got that loop at the top, and then you've got your tails at the bottom. So as you can see here, and then I'm going to take my fingers, put them through that loop, grab the tails, pull the tails through the loop, and then tighten it. And this is just like a simple macrame knot. It's really easy to learn and really easy to do. And as you can see here, I'm just tightening it, and then I'm going to repeat that process all the way down. So I basically have a full row or line of loops, as you can see here. Then I'm going to trim down the edges just to make them approximately the same length. I'll trim them again later. And then I'm going to actually be using a pet brush. So it's got those fine, thin bristles. And I'm going to start brushing out my pieces of yarn to give them kind of like that fluffy look. So this is where I'm using my pet brush. Now this is just like a standard basic pet brush. You just want something that has got those like thin metally bristles to really pull apart the yarn. And I'm just going in there and brushing it. This does take a little while, but if you really like how this looks, if you like this kind of like fluffy, like twisted, pulled apart strands, I guess, but it does look really cute at the end. So I went ahead and just went in there and kept brushing and brushing. Sometimes it does help if you go in there with your fingers and untwist a couple. But go ahead and brush as much or as little as you like. And then since they did a couple of them, pulled out more or pulled out less. And since I wanted the, I guess you would call it the fringe to be a little bit shorter, I just went ahead and trimmed it down so it was the perfect length. And this is how it looks when it's all done. I think it looks super cute, and I especially love it hanging underneath my shelf. So the inspiration for this next DIY actually came from Pinterest, and they were using like different types of ropes and different yarn. I'm like, I wonder if I could do this using Dollar Tree's yarns. I'm like, alright, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to try it. In worst case, it fails. So I'm going to be using some of this decorative white Nelica rope from Dollar Tree. I end up using just under 2 packs, but it depends on how big you want your rainbow to be. And then I'm just going to start making arches of rope. And I'm going to start out with the smallest one, and then I'm going to tape off the ends about 1 inch from the bottom of my rope. And then I'm going to cut off this arch of rope from the actual bundle of rope. So I'm just going to repeat that over and over. You can do as many rows or arches of rope as you like. Just keep taping off the ends, cutting them until you're happy with the size of it. then this is how all of my arches look when they're all taped and cut. And then I'm going to start wrapping them with yarn. So I'm going to be using those two Dollar Tree yarns I used earlier, and then we're going to be using another Dollar Tree yarn, which is this is like light pink. So to attach it, I just use a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm just going to wrap all the way down my rope until the other end. So I'm going to start at the top of the tape on one end. I'm going to wrap all the way around to the top of the tape on the other side. And you want to try to keep a smooth tension on this because it'll really help it to look nicer at the end, because that way you can kind of see the spiral of the rope, and it just looks kind of like a solid wrapping. You can't really see all the individual strands as much. And then here I'm just using, like I said, a little bit of hot glue to touch it at the end. And then I ended up not wrapping all my rope pieces. I left a couple of natural, and I actually added one small one in the end. So again, you can do whatever colors you like. You could do each row a different color. You could do the colors of the rainbow. You could do all the same color. Really, it's up to you. So now it's time to go ahead and remove the tape on all of those pieces that I just wrapped. I actually left a couple of the natural rope because I really like the different variants in texture. But go ahead and remove all of the tape, and then go ahead and unravel each of those strands. There are 3 strands, so you just want to unravel them and then pull them apart. And then I'm actually going to use the pet brush that I was using earlier to just brush them out and make them smoother and make them look more like a solid fringe. So now it's time to go ahead and start gluing all of my individual arches together. To do this, I'm just using some hot glue and then running a bead on the inside and pushing them together. And I'm going to do this for all 5 of my arches. With all of my arches now glued together, I'm going to flip my rainbow to the back, and as you can see, I had this the natural pieces that I didn't actually wrap with yarn. They were kind of unraveling a little more than I wanted them to, so I went ahead and just put some hot glue in the back and used a popsicle stick to smooth them out, just to keep the fibers from unraveling or untwisting more than I wanted them to, just so that they were stuck together, I guess you could say, and were secure. Then I'm going to be using just a pair of scissors to trim my fringe at the bottom. Again, you can make this fringe as long or as short as you like. I'm just brushing it out and trimming it so that's as straight and as even as possible on both sides. And then this is how it looks when it is all done. I am actually very surprised with how well it turned out, considering I only made with Tarachi products. And I think it's so cute and kind of boho, and I am really happy with the way it turned out. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications bell so you know whenever I post. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!